when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now. You know, the devil goes, oh no, leave him alone. He's my favorite.
One thing for sure, when you hire me, you're getting a black actor. And if you wrote it and you didn't see a black actor when you wrote it, or even if you saw one, sometimes what you put in my mouth is not how I talk. Depending upon what I've read, you created a character who's a lot more educated than you allow him to speak. I can conjugate, and a lot of people can. So I don't need you to write black vernacular for me. I can say what you want said, but you need to say it this way. If I'm from somewhere else, I can say it that way.
I don't watch Tyler Perry movies, and
now,
you know,
now can you tell me why? I want to know why you don't watch Tyler Perry. I want to hear your opinion on Tyler Perry movies.
So this is Mega of Mike's Unleashed, and I'm just saying this is why I don't watch Tyler Perry movies. I think Tyler Perry movies are all very stereotypical when it comes to black people. He enhances the sort of the negative aspect of blacks. I do see him with some shows. I hear about it. I wasn't a fan of, you know, the Medea character. I didn't see what all the hoopla and everything, all that the character was about, which was too funny. It didn't click to me. But when I've seen some of her, not just her, but when I see Tyler Perry shows, they're just very stereotypical. And I'm just like, I'm out of that.
At what point do we say enough is enough, Tyler Perry? At what point do we say we will not watch these films anymore until you hire some writers? 7 minutes and 9 seconds. Like, I'm not lying. I'm 7 minutes and 9 seconds into this movie, and this is already one of the most ridiculous things that I think I've ever seen.
You probably think you know Tyler Perry, the billionaire filmmaker, Hollywood's most successful black mogul, the man who built an empire entertaining millions. But here's what nobody talks about. Two of cinema's most respected legends refused to work with him. Not because of scheduling conflict, not because of money. When Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson, men who've worked with everyone from Spike Lee to Steven Spielberg, draw a hard line against someone, it's because they've discovered something the public doesn't see. What they found will completely change how you view Tyler Perry forever. But before we dive into what Denzel and Samuel L. discovered, you need to understand something. Tyler Perry didn't just accidentally stumble into controversy. The whispers started years ago. Picture this, 2011. Spike Lee, the man who gave us Do the Right Thing and Malcolm X, he sits down for an interview. Now, everyone knows Spike doesn't sugarcoat anything, especially when it comes to black representation in cinema. What he said about Tyler Perry's work was absolutely devastating. He called it coonery and buffoonery. Now let that sink in for a moment. In the black community, those aren't words you casually throw around. That's basically the artistic equivalent of getting excommunicated. When the director of some of cinema's most important black films calls your work harmful stereotypes, that should have been a career-ending moment.
Because each artist should be allowed to pursue the artistic endeavor. But I still think a lot of stuff that's on today is coonery and buffoonery. And I know it's making a lot of money, breaking records, but we could do better.
But here's what's fascinating. Nothing happened. Perry's movies kept making millions. His studios kept expanding. Hollywood kept writing him checks. Which begs the question, why didn't the criticism stick? Because the whispers weren't just coming from one director. Black barbershops across America were having these conversations. Family dinners turned uncomfortable when Perry's latest film came up. Academic thinkers started dissecting the harmful patterns in his storytelling. But none of it mattered. Tyler Perry had built something bigger than criticism. He'd built a billion-dollar empire. And in Hollywood, money talks louder than artistic integrity. That's when something interesting started happening. Certain A-list actors began quietly separating themselves. Not publicly, not dramatically, just absence. And sometimes, absence speaks louder than words. Because Denzel Washington isn't just any actor. This man has been Hollywood royalty for 4 decades. But he's also something rare in Tinseltown, a preacher's son who's never been afraid to talk about good versus evil. When someone like Denzel takes a moral stand, you better believe there's a spiritual principle behind it. And what he said about Hollywood will blow your mind.
And when the devil ignores you, then you know you're doing something wrong. Wait a minute, I'm not done now. The devil goes, oh no, leave him alone. Hey, he's my favorite.
Denzel once explained his philosophy about spiritual battle in Hollywood. He said, there's an old saying, when the devil ignores you, maybe you're doing something wrong. Because when the devil looks at certain people and thinks, leave him alone, he's my favorite. But conversely, when the devil comes after you, maybe it's because you're trying to do something right. Think about that logic for a second. If you're comfortable in Hollywood and no one's coming after you, if everything's going smoothly, that might actually be a red flag. But when powerful forces start attacking you for speaking the truth, that means you're probably on the right side. Now apply that philosophy to Tyler Perry. Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million and got called crazy. Cat Williams spoke truth about industry corruption and got blacklisted. Spike Lee criticized harmful stereotypes and got marginalized. All of them faced serious backlash for challenging the system. Meanwhile, Tyler Perry keeps getting rewarded. Billion-dollar deals, studio ownership, industry praise. According to Denzel's logic, who do you think is really on the right side? But he gets personal too, because apparently Tyler Perry once approached Denzel for a role that crossed serious lines. Sources close to Denzel suggest he found the approach deeply disrespectful, not just professionally, but morally. When you're dealing with someone of Denzel's caliber, a two-time Oscar winner, who's worked with legends like Spike Lee, Ridley Scott, and Tony Scott, for him to call a role offer disrespectful, that's saying something profound.
Tyler Perry hurting black people.
Tyler Perry's about to buy BT.
I don't watch Tyler Perry movies, and
now can you tell me why? I want to know why you don't watch Tyler Perry. I want to hear your opinion on Tyler Perry.
So this is Mega of Mike's Unleashed, and I'm just saying this is why I don't watch Tyler Perry movies. I think Tyler Perry movies are all very stereotypical when it comes to black people. He enhances the sort of the negative aspect of blacks. I do see him with some shows. I hear about it. I wasn't a fan of the Medea character. I didn't see what all the hoopla and everything, all that the character was about, which was too funny. It didn't click to me. But when I've seen some of her, not just her, but when I see Tyler Perry shows, they're just very stereotypical, and I'm just like, I'm out of that.
Denzel's been in Hollywood for 40 years. He knows organic talent versus system-backed projects. When Denzel takes a moral stand against someone, it's not creative differences, it's spiritual discernment. But Denzel isn't the only legend who's quietly avoiding Tyler Perry. Samuel L. Jackson, the highest-grossing actor in Hollywood history, has also never appeared in a Perry production. And that's not an accident. Jackson's been in this game for over 5 decades. He's worked with everyone: Quentin Tarantino, Spike Lee, George Lucas, Marvel Studios. This man has appeared in over 150 films. He's not picky about projects, he's strategic about collaborators. Here's what most people don't understand. When you've been in Hollywood as long as Samuel L. Jackson, you develop instincts about power dynamics. You learn to spot the difference between someone who's difficult to work with and someone who's genuinely dangerous. Jackson understands how the industry protects certain people as long as they're making money. He's seen billion-dollar assets get shielded from criticism, lawsuits disappear, victims get silenced. When you've witnessed that pattern for decades, you learn to recognize the warning signs. And here's the thing about A-list actors like Jackson. They have the luxury of choice. They don't need every paycheck. They can afford to be selective about who they associate with professionally. So when Samuel L. Jackson, someone who's worked with controversial directors, demanding producers, difficult co-stars, chooses to avoid Tyler Perry entirely, that's telling. It's not about artistic differences or scheduling conflict.
One thing for sure, when you hire me, you're getting a black actor. And if you wrote it and you didn't see a black actor when you wrote it, or even if you saw one, sometimes what you put in my mouth is not how I talk. Depending upon what I've read, you created a character who's a lot more educated than you allow him to speak. I can conjugate, and a lot of people can. So I don't need you to write black vernacular for me. I can say what you want said, but you need to say it this way. If I'm from somewhere else, I can say it that way.
It's about professional standards. It's about recognizing patterns that younger actors might miss. It's about understanding that some collaborations come with hidden costs that no amount of money can justify. Jackson's silence on Tyler Perry is deafening. In an industry where everyone praises everyone else publicly, Jackson has never said a positive word about Perry's work, never defended him during controversies. never expressed interest in collaboration. That kind of professional distance from someone of Jackson's stature? That's not a coincidence. That's a conscious choice. What we're about to show you explains exactly why he's made that choice. So here's where things get absolutely disturbing, because we're not talking about creative differences anymore. We're talking about a workplace of mistreatment that would shock you if it happened at any other company. Brandon Jay, a young actor who worked on Tyler Perry's production of Meet the Browns. What he's about to tell you will explain exactly why industry veterans like Denzel and Samuel stay far away from Perry's sets. Brandon describes his experience as the most stressful and hardest thing he'd ever done in his entire life. But here's the kicker. It wasn't supposed to be hard. This was a comedy show.
I remember the person that I wanted to impress the most was Mr. Perry. I always looked up to him, and he was just sitting on the side looking at me. He was just looking at me, like waiting for me to do something. I felt like he was about to fire me. Everybody's expecting me to pull something out. They don't even let me finish the third take. They're like, cut, cut, cut.
The Tyler Perry method is absolutely insane. While regular network shows take a full week to film one episode, Perry's productions demand actors complete an entire episode in single days. Imagine that pressure. Learning scripts, rehearsing scenes, performing perfectly, all in 24 hours? But that's just the beginning. Brandon spent days memorizing his entire script. He knew every line, every cue, ready to deliver a professional performance. Then Tyler Perry walked into the room. Everything changed instantly. Perry watched the entire run-through and hated it. Not small adjustments, complete rejection. On the spot, Perry started rewriting the entire script, feeding Brandon new lines while the director stood helplessly aside.
I lose it. I'm screaming, I'm yelling, I'm crying. Not because I was acting, but I was feeling those emotions because of how overwhelmed I was in this moment.
Then came the manipulation. Mid-scene, Perry decided Brandon's character should suddenly be gay, with a crush on his bully. That wasn't what Brandon auditioned for. That wasn't the character he'd spent weeks preparing for. But here's the brutal part. Everyone knew if Brandon objected, he'd be fired immediately. In any normal workplace, drastically changing someone's job responsibilities without consent would be considered a hostile work environment. In Tyler Perry's world, that's apparently just Tuesday. The pressure broke Brandon down completely. He describes blacking out from anger and frustration. On the fourth take, he lost control entirely, screaming, yelling, crying, not because he was acting, but because the emotional exploitation had been so completely overwhelming. Perry sat watching the young actors break down like it was entertainment. No compassion, no professional guidance, just cold observation of human suffering. Now imagine if Denzel Washington or Samuel L. Jackson had witnessed that kind of treatment. These are men who've worked with respectful directors for decades. They understand professional standards. They know the difference between creative pressure and systematic mistreatment. And this wasn't an isolated incident. Multiple actors have similar stories, but most stay silent out of fear of industry retaliation. But workplace mistreatment was just the beginning. What we're about to show you next explains exactly why Denzel and Jackson have been protecting their reputations by staying far away from Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios are now being accused by one of their former actors, Braxton Wells, of covering up his grape, NSA, by one of their top executives. Braxton Wells is a former actor from the series Ruthless, was also featured in The Oval. Sound familiar? As you know, it was just last month that Derek Dixon sued Tyler Perry for $260 million. Well, apparently, Braxton Wells settled with Tyler Perry Studios back in October of 2024, not that long ago. He accused Tyler Perry's senior vice president of graping him and NSAing him. He also alleged that Mark Swinton drugged him allegedly. Mark is on the left. He's worked with Tyler Perry for multiple years, probably like 15 plus years on scripted television projects and movies. So Braxton Wells on his social media shared various videos, screenshots, and even his settlement agreement where he settled with Tyler Perry Studios, Tyler Perry, and Mark in this settlement agreement, which he also signed a non-disclosure agreement. In the settlement, he received $500,000. However, $201,000 went to his legal team. However, he's claiming that he felt like he was misrepresented by his legal team. He says that Derek Dixon's attorney, he had reached out to him before the whole Derek Dixon of it all, and he refused to take his case. However, wants him to be involved in Derek's case. It should be noted that Braxton is a former Army vet, and he says there were certain things because he's a vet he should have been afforded when it comes to his rights. He also filed a police report in regards to this. He had posted, even before he posted here, he had posted before he made the settlement with his claims. He believes the attorney that represented him were in cahoots with Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios. Braxton also believes, even though he signed the settlement agreement and there's a non-disclosure within the settlement agreement, he believes that it's voided because he signed that under duress. He's believing that his legal team misrepresented him. He believes that they were working with Tyler Perry's legal team against him. But here's the thing. Although people settle for a variety of different reasons, within the settlement, it does say that they do not claim, Tyler Perry Studios, Mark, or Tyler Perry, they do not claim any responsibility or being guilty of what he's accusing them of. However, like I said, people settle for different reasons. I just don't understand why you would settle when your senior VP is being accused of R-ing someone. According to Braxton, he alleges that Tyler Perry and Tyler Perry Studios are covering up for
Derek Dixon, an actor who appeared in 85 episodes of Tyler Perry's The Oval. In June 2025, Dixon filed a devastating $260 million lawsuit against Perry with allegations so serious they could destroy Perry's entire empire. According to Dixon's detailed court filing, this wasn't random groping. This was exploitation, disguised as career mentorship. Perry allegedly spotted Dixon working as event staff at a 2019 party and immediately offered him acting opportunities. The pattern Dixon describes is absolutely chilling. First came the gifts, expensive presents, surprise cars, promises of bigger roles. Then came the inappropriate messages. Dixon's lawsuit includes actual text evidence where Perry allegedly asked, "What's it going to take for you to have guiltless S?"
Tyler Perry was pressuring people to watch Netflix with him forcibly. If you don't know what that means, look in the comments. Now, this is important because rumors are how these big cases get started in the first place.
And here's where it gets really dark. Dixon claims Perry used quid pro quo tactic, promising career advancement in exchange for S compliance. When Dixon refused advances, Perry allegedly threatened his character would die on the show. The lawsuit describes multiple alleged attack incidents. One disturbing allegation involves Perry entering Dixon's guest room uninvited and physically groping him. Another describes Perry cornering Dixon in a trailer and S attacking him. After each alleged incident, Perry would reportedly express fake remorse and offer career incentives, raises, better roles, promises to develop Dixon's own television pilot. Classic manipulation tactics designed to keep victims silent. And Dixon isn't alone. Braxton Wells, another former Perry actor, reportedly settled with Perry Studios for $500,000 in October 2024 after similar allegations. The settlement included non-disclosure agreements, but Wells now claims he signed under duress and believes his legal team was working against him. Then there's Christian Keys, a gospel singer who's been trying to expose Perry for years. Keys claims he has recordings of Perry offering him money to take his clothes off and confessing to keeping multiple young black men on payroll for inappropriate purposes. Keys explains why these allegations keep surfacing. Sometimes it's our own people. Sometimes it's our own heroes. Sometimes it's the very people we deify and look up to.
Once this harassment started, I was like, well, I got to protect me because I'm saying no, and I don't want this person, as powerful as they are, to try to get in the way of my work.
Now, you understand why Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson, men who built careers on integrity and professional standards, would refuse to associate with someone facing these kinds of allegations. Perry's lawyers call these accusations fabricated scams from people trying to get money from a rich target. But when multiple victims tell similar stories, when there's alleged documentation and evidence, when settlements keep happening quietly, patterns emerge. But even before these legal nukes dropped, there was another reason why respected actors like Denzel and Samuel L. Jackson stayed away from Tyler Perry. His artistic formula was already causing serious harm to black representation. Listen to this heartbreaking testimony from a regular black woman who's tired of seeing herself portrayed negatively. She explains how Perry has built billions off the backs of black female pain. His formula consistently shows black women as hardworking, struggling victims who need rescuing by men. Where are the Legally Blonde stories for black women? Where are the empowering narratives? Instead, Perry's characters reinforce harmful stereotypes that make black women feel ashamed of their representation in media.
I don't watch Tyler Perry movies, and
now can you tell me why? I want to know why you don't watch Tyler Perry. I want to hear your opinion on Tyler Perry.
So this is Mega of Mike's Unleashed, and I'm just saying this is why I don't watch Tyler Perry movies. I think Tyler Perry movies are all very stereotypical when it comes to black people. He enhances the sort of the negative aspect of blacks. I do see him with some shows. I hear about it. I wasn't a fan of the Medea character. I didn't see what all the hoopla and everything, all that the character was about, which was too funny. It didn't click to me. But when I've seen some of her, not just her, but when I see Tyler Perry shows, they're just very stereotypical, and I'm just like, I'm out of that.
BET, Black Entertainment Television. The worst network I have ever come across. The most low down, the most dirty, the one who exploits black people the most besides Tyler Perry. Shout out to Tyler Perry for exploiting black women.
And it gets worse. There's a disturbing pattern in Hollywood that comedians like Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams have been warning us about for years. The pressure on black men to wear dresses for comedy.
It is possible that there isn't anything funnier than a guy in a dress.
Dave Chappelle famously walked away from $50 million rather than compromise his principles. When producers demanded he wear a dress for a scene, Dave refused and asked the crucial question, why are you putting us in these dresses? Meanwhile, Tyler Perry built his entire brand around Medea, a black man in drag. He's worth over $1 billion playing stereotypical characters that reinforce exactly the kind of imagery Dave walked away from. Cat Williams connects this to something even darker, control in Hollywood. Whether you believe in Illuminati theories or not, Cat's really talking about power structures that reward certain behaviors and punish others.
I find it weird how whenever he came out, people was talking about him, people was disrespecting him. Tyler Perry was doing everything in his power to have him on mute. Now a white man is coming out, now it's more important. Oh my gosh, Tyler Perry him. What about Christian? Nobody's talking about Christian, are they? I genuinely find it weird how black people ignore the fact that people who are rich, black people who are rich, they get rich off of the backs of us, and we continue to support their behavior. They have money to quiet people, and we continue to support their behavior. And then years and decades later, here come the Diddy case. I don't want to hear about it because y'all have seen the things that has happened to black people, but y'all only care when it's a non-black person.
The pattern is clear. Dave Chappelle refused to compromise and got called crazy. Cat Williams spoke the truth and got blacklisted. Spike Lee criticized harmful stereotypes and got marginalized. Meanwhile, Tyler Perry keeps getting rewarded for perpetuating exactly what these conscious artists were fighting against. For actors like Denzel Washington, a preacher's son who understands the spiritual realm, associating with Perry's brand of entertainment would represent a moral compromise. For Samuel L. Jackson, someone who's worked with directors who elevate black stories, Perry's approach represents everything wrong with Hollywood's treatment of black narratives. These aren't just creative differences. These are fundamental disagreements about what black cinema should represent and whether financial success justifies perpetuating harmful stereotypes. And now you understand exactly why two of Hollywood's most respected legends made the conscious choice to avoid Tyler Perry entirely. This isn't about creative differences or scheduling conflict. This was about moral clarity and professional integrity. Washington and Jackson have something most actors don't: the power to choose their collaborators. 4 decades in Hollywood gives you perspective. You learn to recognize the difference between someone who's demanding but professional and someone who's genuinely dangerous. Perry's smooth rise to billion-dollar success, despite consistent criticism and now serious allegations, fits perfectly into Denzel's worldview about who gets rewarded in Hollywood. Samuel L. Jackson's industry knowledge runs even deeper. He's worked with everyone from Quentin Tarantino to George Lucas to Marvel Studios. He understands how power dynamics work how victims get silenced, how billion-dollar assets get protected regardless of their behavior. Both men built their reputations on professional excellence and personal integrity. Associating with someone facing allegations of workplace mistreatment and misconduct would damage everything they've worked decades to build. And this is why legends like Jackson and Washington refused to work with Perry. They spent careers building respect for black excellence, and they don't participate in projects that tear down what they've worked to build. Their stance isn't isolated. Even comedy legend Paul Mooney couldn't contain his disgust with Tyler Perry's imagery.
I'm very proud of Monique. She did an excellent job. I'm happy for her. I hope she gets an Academy Award, an NAACP, but the movie, I just couldn't help it. As a black man, that movie, I couldn't stand that movie. I was very offended by that movie. That movie was insane. Yeah, Oprah and whatever the other man's name is. That man that dresses up like a lady. What's his name? Yeah, the one that has Alzheimer's. He's from Gotti's a man. He just stay in the dress. He can't help himself. I want some positive stuff. I don't, you know, and as a black male in America, we're not actors and actresses or a black woman. When we play a role, people think that this is a reality show. When Superfly was out, they thought every black man was a pimp. When they go see these films with black people in them, they believe what they see. A white actor, they're acting. You know, you don't think that every white man's Jason or every white man's Psycho in that movie. That's an actor.
Mooney understood that representation matters. When you put damaging images on screen, you're not just entertaining. You're shaping how people see an entire community. Perry's films exploit this racial bias, using black actors to reinforce negative stereotypes while hiding behind the defense of just entertainment. In an industry where A-list actors regularly work with multiple directors and producers, the fact that neither Jackson or Washington has ever appeared in a Perry production is statistically impossible unless it's intentional. They're not just protecting their own reputations, but they're setting an example for younger black actors. They're showing that success doesn't require compromising your values, that money isn't worth your dignity. That artistic integrity matters more than box office numbers. Now, with $260 million lawsuits, documented evidence, multiple accusers, and settlements with NDAs, their instincts have been proven correct. While other actors scramble to separate themselves from Perry, Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson never got close enough to need distancing. They saw the warning signs years ago and made the moral, courageous choice to walk away. That's what real integrity looks like in Hollywood. So there you have it. While Tyler Perry was building his billion-dollar empire, Denzel Washington and Samuel L. Jackson were quietly protecting their integrity. They recognized the patterns before anyone else: the workplace mistreatment, the harmful stereotypes, the exploitation. Now, with multiple lawsuits and mounting evidence, their moral courage looks prophetic. Sometimes the most powerful statement isn't what you say, it's who you refuse to work with. Real legends protect their souls, not just their careers.